Welcome back to the Deep Dig Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host, right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Be sure to hit that like button, drop some comments below, let us know your thoughts, but more importantly, subscribe. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, we're getting to 500. We're trying to hit it pretty soon, but we're getting right into the new college football rankings like we do every week. So let's just talk about it because we have Texas number one. This is a giant week of college football. Texas taking on Georgia, one of the many marquee matchups. How we feeling about that one?
Honestly, in my heart of hearts, I truly hope that Texas goes out and humbles Georgia. Just what I've seen from Georgia and Kirby Smart this past couple of weeks, it just makes me want them to be like shut up so bad. Do I think it's going to happen? I truly don't know. I mean, this is one of those things where we thought Ohio State and Texas were on a whole different level than everybody else. And then once Ohio State got tested by Oregon, they obviously fall. And this is going to be now the first real test for Texas. I know they had the Red River rivalry last week, but honestly, it showed that Texas is on a whole different level than Oklahoma, and Oklahoma just can't get their offense going. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. What do you think is going to happen?
I think Texas is going to win this game, not easily, but I think by more than 10 points. I think this is their year, and I think they're going to bring the boom because Quinn Ewers doing the bring the boom dance. Hey. So, yeah, I think Quinn Ewers balling. I think Texas balling. I see them rolling through Georgia. I mean, we saw what Bama did to Georgia. I think Texas is on that level, if not better. And Oregon, surprising. Now they're at number 2 for beating Ohio State. I don't know if we expected Ohio State to drop further, but I think the AP knows that they're a great team still.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I expected them to go maybe one or two more spots down, but realistically, it kind of, what Ohio State is. They took Oregon all the way to the end of the game. It was a last second, like, kind of mistake play and a rules bending genre of play from the Oregon side that really took this Ohio State to their first loss. Uh, and I think they're still going to be good. I mean, they have some things defensively that Oregon exposed in this game that they're really going to have to work on. They're going to have to work on their pass rush. They are going to have to work on their secondary, which many people thought was going to be a strength of theirs. Burke got lit up by Oregon. And so they have some things to really fix. And they're going to have a Nebraska team that is just chomping at the bit to kind of get after them after stumbling when they had hype early in the season.
Yeah, and Miami this week, they stay at 6. They play Louisville in a, I want to say, trap game here because they're not heavy favorites in this game. I think Vegas and especially bettors are starting to realize, Miami is not this dominant team that they're kind of projecting themselves to be, especially being in the top 10 for most of the year. They can be beaten, and Louisville is a team who was ranked earlier in the year, who has talent, who I think could challenge this Miami team this week.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same as you. I think this Louisville team does have a really good chance of quote unquote upsetting this Miami team. We've seen Miami struggle with Cal. We've seen them struggle with South Florida. We see like that this is not they should not be undefeated. And so if they play a caliber of a Louisville, someone who did have really they were ranked, they had a lot of hype coming into it. They've stumbled a little bit throughout this year, but I think this is still a solid football team and a team that can get up and throw some punches when needed. And I think Miami should be on the lookout this weekend.
All right, we're going to keep it moving. Couple teams with something to prove this week. Bama at number 7 playing number 11 Tennessee. This game is huge for the SEC and for the playoff race in general. Like, this could determine where these teams end up at the end of the year.
This is by all means, I'm pretty sure this is a loser leaves town matchup between Tennessee and Alabama. I think you have such a tough path to come back if you lose this game. And truly, how good are you? I mean, we've seen Bama lose to Vandy. We've seen Tennessee struggle against Florida last week, a Florida team that was getting smoked, and you had to take them to OT. So I don't know how good either of these programs truly are. This is their chance to put their stamp. And I think realistically, the loser is out of the playoff picture.
And then LSU, a team that we kind of wrote off earlier in the year, they take on an Arkansas team who was hot, beating Tennessee. And that defense is pretty nasty for Arkansas. So I don't know if LSU's quarterback is it Nussmeyer.
Nussmeyer, yeah.
I don't know how well he's going to hold up against that defense.
I mean, and two, Arkansas is, again, I will say this over and over and over again. Arkansas is a fun team. Arkansas has a good roster. They have bad coaching, but this is by no means a bad team. They are sneaky good. Taylor Green is a sneaky good quarterback. He can make all the throws. He has athleticism. I think that he is going to give LSU a run for their money, but I think LSU continues the hype train. I think they ride the high that they rode last week, and they continue to move forward and push and show that they are a top product in this SEC this year. I'm going LSU.
All right. And then Iowa State, I think with all the top teams kind of playing each other in these weeks, Iowa State could sneak into the top 5 if they just keep winning. And they have to show that they're the top dog in the Big 12, which I think they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's them and BYU, two teams that realistically no one had marked on their calendar as the winner of the Big 12. Those are the two powerhouses coming out of the Big 12. I think they're going to smash UCF this weekend. Mark it. Go ahead and mark it.
Yeah, speaking of BYU, they're at 13 playing Oklahoma State. That should be a fun one too, but I think BYU has to come out on top there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this Oklahoma State team, it has to be up there as far as one of the most disappointing teams this season. There was a lot of hype coming into it. They had a guy that people were thinking was going to be a Heisman candidate in Ollie Gordon. They had a 7th-year starter at quarterback. They have a guy at head coach who's been there for a plethora of years, has a ton of experience, and they just underachieved. And this BYU team is nasty, and you do not go to Provo and get wins, especially on late night games, which they are going to be playing on Friday. So I'm excited for that one. I think they smoke them.
And these next 4 teams, Texas A&M, Boise State, Indiana, Kansas State, all having great seasons. I could argue, I think for each of them individually, that they should be higher on this list. And especially Texas A&M team, who's looking really great in the SEC, and Boise State with the Heisman frontrunner.
The one snag that you run into with Texas A&M is their loss, and that is what's holding them back down in these rankings, because they lost to Notre Dame in the opening week, and you can't have them above Notre Dame in these rankings. And sneaky, every single win that at Texas A&M is getting is just adding to the resume of Notre Dame, a team that we thought was dead when they lost to Northern Illinois, but they just keep knocking out just random teams and just are going to go, undefeated through the rest of their schedule. And Texas A&M is going to drive them to the playoff spot, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I know you're not big on Kansas State, but they just keep finding ways to win. And 5-1 in the Big 12, they play a West Virginia team that's definitely beatable. I think they could, hang around, maybe challenge in Iowa State.
Oh, yeah. And this Indiana team, I think they're really, really good. They're going to be taking on Nebraska. I think that's a fun game moving forward. I think we had talked about Nebraska a little bit higher up in the rankings. Someone was on a bye. So I'm excited for that matchup. I think we're going to see what this Indiana team is truly made out of. This is a Nebraska team that's already been tested a couple different times. So we'll see what they could throw out there.
And Ole Miss taking on Oklahoma. This is a ultimate put them away for good night game. Oklahoma could take out Ole Miss completely out of the conversation, kind of save Oklahoma's season a little bit to get them, back in the mix of things. Is Lane Kiffin the guy, or can he not win any big games in this SEC?
I don't think he's the guy. I think that the way he coaches, I mean, this is just kind of be this is the top for Lane at Ole Miss. It's getting really good recruits, playing the transfer portal perfectly, but ultimately when it comes to teams that are tougher and that have a equal or greater talent, we're going to fold. We're going to fold like some laundry. And LSU, again, we don't know how good LSU was. We've seen them lose to a USC team that's kind of soft. And they came out and they were not scared at all. They did not care about the talent differential. They were like, we know that we can compete with Ole Miss. We are not afraid of you. And they let it all hang. They put it all on the table. And they proved that they were right.
Yeah, then we have Missouri taking on Auburn in a game that, I mean, I know we're not high on Missouri at all. I think Auburn has a chance to beat them here. And then Pittsburgh's sneaky undefeated taking on Syracuse. That should be a fun one. SMU playing Stanford. Stanford's been in some dogfights this season, but they've lost quite a bit. Illinois taking on Michigan. And before you say anything about that, Michigan down here at 24. This could also be a put them away game. Illinois, I think, has a chance to knock Michigan out of the top 25 right here.
Yeah. Does Illinois have one loss, I believe, right? Is that correct? Scroll up.
Yes. One loss.
Yeah. And it's going to be at Illinois. I think that this is a game that has potential to be like one of those ones that you just rally around for the rest of the season. This could send Illinois on a winning, not spiral, but what's the opposite of a spiral? A winning streak that you just get confidence. You beat one of the big boys. You show that, hey, we're going to put them into the dirt. We know that Michigan is not a good team, but they're still ranked, and that's a feather in our cap. And Illinois has been playing lights out lately. Luke Altmaier is a good quarterback. He is a guy who, when they win against Nebraska, all the hype was for Nebraska. Everyone was saying Nebraska's back. Oh, Dylan Raiola, he's going to be the guy moving forward. Altmaier took all of that and said, look at me. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to outduel this guy. And I think that they're going to just go out there and smash Michigan.
And then you have Army, Navy finally getting the respect they deserve, breaking into the top 25. And if they continue to win and both beat Notre Dame, it's an interesting thing because they play each other the last game of the year. Then they could play each other in the conference championship. Or actually, it's conference championship, and then they play each other.
Yep.
So they
could play each other in the conference championship.
And then they play after the conference championship because of the way they do their setup between the Army and Navy game. But then say one team wins the conference championship, the other team beats them after, they could both make the playoffs and play each other the next week, 3 weeks in a row.
That is true. I just don't know if that actually plays that game because I'm pretty sure it's just an exhibition, the Army Navy game. I don't know if that is something that would sway the committee when they are putting this together. But man, like it could be chaos, especially if they leave one of them out. If they leave the conference championship out, that the loser out, and the conference championship wins the exhibition, what do you do? Like then it's like, what? How can we not have them in the playoff?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun ride. I hope they both beat Notre Dame and just go into that final game undefeated.
Yeah, it's honestly that's going to be so fun, and that's again another feather in the cap of Notre Dame if they are able to beat either one of those teams. And if they drop one, hopefully that knocks out Notre Dame from the playoff picture, and it does open up a spot for the other person that if they did lose to Notre Dame.
All right, well, that's all we got for this week. We'll be here next week, same time, probably earlier in the week, Tuesday. Usually we drop this, covering the rankings. Please subscribe. Let us know your thoughts, and good luck gambling this Saturday.
All right, later.